Hello, my name is Michael Kirichenko. You're watching SkyWay News, in which we tell you about the latest developments in the implementation of our breakthrough transport technologies as we work together around the world. We get very many questions from our partners concerned, especially from countries such as the Russian Federation and Australia, where the introduction of SkyWay has progressed the farthest. Especially our Australian partners are interested in the differences between SkyWay and a monorail. It is due to the fact that about 3 years ago the Sydney monorail ceased to exist. Does such a fate await our project as well? We will talk about it with Dr. Anatoly Yunitsky, the creator of the SkyWay technology. But let us start with a small introduction. The Sydney monorail is a single-track circular line in the city of Sydney that connects the Darling Harbour in Chinatown with the business and shopping centre of Sydney. It was opened in July 1988 and closed in June 2013. Sydney monorail was more of an amusement ride than a part of public transport. The main reason was its unprofitability. This was the verdict. The official closing took place on the 30th of June 2013. It was expensive, designed to transfer 12 million passengers per year. However, only 3 to 4 million people used it for 24 years. The rolling stock dilapidated, and it became very expensive to order a new one or repair the old one since the cars were made in Switzerland. Up to 4 trains operated on the line of 3,600 meter length with 8 stations. The track structure was made of steel beams with a width of 94 centimeters, raised on the 5.5 meter high columns. The distance between them was 40 meters. Stops at the stations took 40 seconds, which was also part of the train deceleration time and its acceleration after the embarkation of passengers. Beginning from 1987, the rolling stock consisted of 6 trains comprising 7 cars, and each train was designed for 56 seats. Trains ran on rubber wheels. Each car had 6 traction motors of 50 horsepower capacity, allowing the train to move at a speed of 33 km per hour. The creators of the monorail always received a lot of criticism. Many believe that the decision on its construction instead of other transport systems, for example, light rail subway, was a political one. The construction of the latter line would have been cheaper by $20 million, and the ticket price would have been lower by 40%. During 24 years of the Sydney monorail operation, the following incidents were the most notable. On the 27th of February 2010, at about 4 p.m., 2 trains collided at the Darling Park station. As a result, 4 people were hospitalized. On the 24th of September 2012, the damage of the underground cable caused a complete shutdown of the system. As a result, aerial platforms were used to rescue about 100 stranded passengers. Anatoly, as usually we get many questions from our partners, investors, primarily from the countries where the introduction of SkyWay has progressed the farthest, particularly from the Russian Federation and Australia. This time a question came from Australia. What is the difference of the monorail from SkyWay? They are very interested in it because the Sydney monorail ceased to exist almost 3 years ago. Will the same happen to our transport infrastructure complex, in case it is implemented in Australia? Please tell us shortly about the differences and advantages of the rail train technologies. For example, we may start with the fundamental elements such as the track structure.
Here, we should pay attention to the terms, because a so-called monorail is not a monorail at all. It is a mono-beam. How can we call a rail the structure of 1.5 to 1.5 meters in cross-section?
Are you speaking about the Sydney monorail?
No, I mean a monorail in general. It's accepted term. Wheel pairs roll on it. What kind of a monorail is it? Are actually a variant of flyovers with conventional beams having all their disadvantages. Just the two of them is large materials intensity and high cost. In addition, the presence of expansion joints, because such structures cannot be built without them. The joints produce banging and hence wear and tear of the structure. Water gets there, and in winter the wearing process starts. The bearing capacity of such structures also decreases, therefore they have such high materials intensity. As regards the rail string track, it is a real monorail, since we have only rails. As a rule, we use not a monorail, but a double rail. Usually, we have two string rails. Therefore, it is clear that these two are different structures. They cannot be compared in the structural sense. Certainly, they can be compared by features. So, down to the features. Why was the Sydney monorail dismantled? The reason is the structure design of this particular variant of a monorail. They have many variants of it. For example, the Wuppertal one in Germany. This is a conventional monorail road built in the end of the 19th century. It is already 120 years old. Nobody dismantles it. It is fit in the city. Therefore, let's talk about the differences and advantages of a SkyWay string track over a conventional monorail. Firstly, with SkyWay track, the material consumption is reduced by 20 times and, consequently, the cost of track structure is reduced by the same rate. It must be paid back. That's why depreciation of capital expenses is always included into the travel cost. As a result, our travel cost in this aspect will be lower. Secondly, engineering costs. Heavy gauge beam structures with a big surface are prone to corrosion as they are steel structures. They require significant maintenance. They have expansion joints, supporting members, powerful supports. Therefore, maintaining such a big structure requires great operating expenses. In contrast, ours are much lower. Again, our net travel cost in this part will be lower. Now for the energy consumption. Monorail tracks in Sydney, as far as I know, are designed for a rolling stock with rubber-covered wheels. The rolling of this wheel, even on a steel beam, encounters great resistance. In our case, a steel wheel moves along a steel surface. In addition, our wheel support is improved compared to a railway one by twofold. Therefore, in our case, energy consumption for overcoming wheel rolling resistance is also lower. As a result, travel cost in this aspect will be less as well. Another advantage that we have is absence of airfoil effect, as we have two rails and no solid road bed. We have envisaged highly aerodynamic design for our vehicle, which we call a unibus. For these reasons, we need approximately 10 times less energy for transport operation. So, in this aspect, our travel cost will be lower again. Thus, it turns out that our net travel cost compared to a conventional monorail will be 10 times lower. The whole transport system will be 10 times cheaper, and hence its payback period will be 100 times shorter. The Sydney monorail was dismantled, but our track will not inherit its fate, because it will be effective. Moreover, the location on the second level increases its safety. I know there were accidents related to the Sydney monorail. Luckily, no one died, and that system was in operation for about 20 years. Let's consider how many people died in Sydney streets during these 20 years. And how many of them became handicapped? Why don't we compare these things? Obviously, there are no absolutely safe systems, but overground systems are safer because there are no obstacles they can clash with, no pedestrians they could knock down, no traffic lights, semaphores, level crossings or crossroads. That's why safety in this case is 1000 times higher compared to ground systems. It all testifies that the fate of the SkyWay string tracks will be different from that of the monorail. Those SkyWay tracks to be built will keep operating like a monorail track in Wuppertal, and everything will be fine. Obviously, construction makes sense when there is a payback, which depends on those factors I've listed above, plus the passenger flow, travel time and comfort level. The travel time depends on the speed. For example, the Sydney monorail speed was up to 30 km per hour. Our urban unibus can develop a speed of up to 150 km per hour. Therefore, naturally, travel times will be shorter, passenger comfort will be times higher, and travel cost will be significantly lower. It explains why such a system will be profitable, even with a small passenger flow.
Thank you very much for your exhaustive answers.
Thank you too.